Okay. So we're here, guys, with the 4.8 patch notes. We didn't watch the stream like usual, so we're doing the old school review here today, where we just go over the actual patch notes themselves. There are some big changes in this patch notes, so we'll make sure to hit up on those. But first steps, oh god, first comes first. I don't know if this, I can't actually full screen this one, can I? If I do this, it's gonna, oh my, look how beautiful that is. Oh my goodness. Bob Ross Sylvanas, which is by far the best skin in this patch. A lot of people wanted like Bob Ross Zhonghui, and it just was so ugly. They showed the concept art for those that didn't see it, and it was just downright bad. But we got a little Bob Ross Sylvanas. I literally don't think there's a way to go back on this without opening full screen. So. Oh yeah, open up a secondary page. Nice. I guess we'll just full screen it after we're done with the skins. Next up, we have Queensguard Erlong Shen with a Corgi, because why wouldn't you do it with a Corgi? I guess, right? I mean, if you can do it with a Corgi, why not do it with a Corgi? Pretty good skin. Cosmic Soul, going with that Agni Cosmic theme. There's actually quite a few. These are basically all good skins. It's just that, like, let's be real, Bob Ross Sylvanas is the best skin. None of you guys are playing Soul anyway, so, like, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't really matter. Vizier Thoth, going with the Ra theme. Ra has a skin just like this, a purple skin. That's basically the same concept. Also, apparently this is based off of some old video game reference or something, so if you know it, congratulations. I don't know it. Something, the crystals are important. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm not a skin guy. We got the Kuzenbo skin. I believe this is just a tier 2, but pretty cool. He's like a dressed up. It's middle-aged samurai Kuzenbo warriors or something. You know, totally not a Ninja Turtle, because he's a samurai turtle, which is definitely different. It's definitely different. So, and the Obey Thanatos skin, which is not a skin for winning a LAN. It's just a skin for Obey, but it turned out like better than a lot of the other skins, because they ended up using the not based model for the skin. They ended up using the final form Thanatos as the base model. So it actually turned out as one of the nicer team skins that are not like a world's winning skin. Alright. Cutesy Scylla's avatar. Oh my gosh, Cutesy Scylla. My god. Kuzenbo dance, who cares? Achievement, who cares? You guys don't care. We gotta get to the important stuff. The Bob Ross thing is like an event. You can buy all of this stuff. I believe it's 700 gems. And you get all of it. So, do with that as you may. Good deal, bad deal, I don't know. But 700 gems. Bug fix with Phantom Veil. Not actually a bug fix, more of like a quality of life thing. Made her wings invisible. Oh darn. Okay. So we're actually going to come back to all of this. We're going to come back to this, because those are the huge, huge changes, which is what we're going to spend the most time talking about. So we're going to go ahead and hit that up at the end. For the most part, these are all bug fixes. I do believe one of these was actually important. The Ravnan change was actually important. The description of the ability said that it lasted for like 3 seconds, 3.54 or 4.55, when in actuality it is lasting for 5 seconds at all ranks. So look at that. Your Raven ult was lasting longer than you thought it did. Other than that, it's mostly like changed ability, very correct radius of this ability, stuff like that. Into the item changes. Emperor's Armor saw a bit of a change. Emperor's Armor, of course, being the item that makes your towers attack faster, which for the most part nobody was getting, because nobody really cared if your tower attacked faster. So what are they going to do? They're going to make your tower attack even faster for defense, and you get 10 more physical protections. Could it bring this item into a decent spot? Maybe. It's still one of those items where it's like, it's not buffing your team in a team fight unless that team fight is under a tower. So it can be useful, and it's certainly going to get attempted with. People are going to try it and see how it goes. But I doubt it becomes a staple for supports, because I do think another item is going to become staples for supports that we'll talk about in just a minute. Fatalis. They increased the price of Fatalis by 300 gold, and they also increased the attack speed by 5%. That's the only change. It is more expensive, obviously, that 300 gold. A little bit harder to build into. But they also increased the attack speed by 5%. 5% for 300 gold isn't quite worth, but I think it puts Fatalis in a good spot where you probably won't get it every game, but if you get big, you could still get it, because now it gives even a little bit more attack speed. But it's definitely going to be more of like a bonus item than a core item. Shogun's Kusiri. This item is going to be huge. This is going to be your new... If you're a support out there, maybe even a solo laner, you're going to be picking up this item for your team. One of you is. Somebody's getting it. Decrease the cost from 2,400 to 2,200, so it's even cheaper. Because it's cheaper, they took away 10 magical protections. But then they increased the attack speed aura. This attack speed aura is for your entire team from 15% to 25%. So if you have this item, you're giving everybody on your team the equivalent attack speed of now what's going to be on Fatalis. An entire item of attack speed. In a meta that's definitely a little bit leaning towards double hunter, an extra 25% attack speed for 2 hunters is going to be nutty. Absolutely nutty. On to God changes. Ares seeing a little bit of a change. Apparently his base physical protections were 17, which is crazy low for a Guardian. So they just buffed him up to 20. It's not going to like change the game for Ares, but like, hey, if you live with 10 HP at the start of the game at Ares, well, it's going to be because of this buff, so congratulations. It mattered to you. But for the most part, it's not going to matter that much. Chronos actually getting a really nice buff. Chronos has still been having a hard time since they removed Fatalis. I think Chronos is probably fine. He's just not broken anymore. So they're trying to break him just a little bit more because Chronos is fun to watch. Stop time. They're increasing the base damage by 10 every rank. Stop time procs twice, so it means it's increasing by 20 damage total at every rank base. Rewind cooldown is going to start at 100 seconds instead of 120 seconds. So basically it's like you're starting with the tier 3 ult as of previously for rewind. So minus 20 seconds off of your initial ulti cooldown. 2 minutes was a long time, but end game it's still going to be the same 80 seconds. It's Tsunami. They just reduced the mana cost of her getaway skill. If that was your defining factor for not playing Tsunami beforehand, then congratulations. But it wasn't. Nobody's going to play her still. Nobody cares. Jingwei, on the other hand, for you Jingwei players, you're going to be pretty pumped because they just changed her dash from being the worst ability in the game to a pretty dang good ability. Adjusted the cooldown, starting at 20 seconds, ending at 16, to starting at 18 seconds and ending at 16 seconds. And it now provides 10, scaling to 30, physical power, and 20% movement speed on use. And that's if you're not in the air. If you're in the air when you do it, you get up to 40 physical power and 30% movement speed. I have been told that this lasts for 4 seconds. You get this buff for 4 seconds, I believe. Could be 3, could be 5. I was told 4. We'll see. We'll see. Kukulkan decreases mana on Whirlwind, which is actually kind of interesting. It's not decreasing the mana cost, as you can see, at the end. It's decreasing it at the start. I mean, other way around. It's not decreasing at the start, it's decreasing at the end. So you still cost 70 mana on your first Whirlwind, but as you level up Whirlwind first, it's going to cost you less mana progressively 5 each step of the way, because obviously you're going to level up Whirlwind first, so you're not getting punished quite as much for leveling Whirlwind. Robin seeing a nerf because Robin was a little bit strong. If you watched the old SPL Reno, you kind of saw a lot of Robin be played because Robin is disgustingly good right now. He'll still be fine. The decreasing the base damage on Shadow Fist, mostly here just at the start. You can see 20 damage off of the level 1, 15 off the level 2, and then slowly it starts to come back. Basically, 120 damage at level 1 is disgustingly high for a base ability. So they're toning that down. And now that Mystic Rush applies the debuff on everybody, they're reducing it from 50% damage reduction to 40% damage reduction. 40% damage reduction for 5 seconds is still going to be very strong. Surcat as well, seeing a nerf, also too strong. Decrease the bonus damage from 2 poisons from 15 to 10% of the target's maximum health. I believe they kept her 3rd level poison, though, if you have all 3 on. Still maintains how strong it is. And they're adjusting last breath damage because why the hell was it ever 228, 342, 456? So they're just making it like more normal ass numbers, which basically buffed it up or down at various levels for the most part by just a couple damage. Doesn't really matter. Sun Wukong getting a bit of a nerf. I mean, a bit of a nerf. Sun Wukong getting a bit of a buff. Who am I? F-dot? Can't read, man. They're increasing the scaling on Cudgel and Master's Will. 10% by Magic Cudgel and 15% on Master's Will. Is it a fine change? Sure. Is it going to make that big of a difference for Wukong? I mean, you don't really build that much power, right, on Warriors right now. It's a lot of defense, getting a lot of mystical melee damage in their face. Extra scaling never hurts, particularly 15% on Master's Will is nice. 10% on Magic Cudgel, you know, helps with clear, stuff like that. But it's certainly not going to skyrocket him to the top of any list because he's still got Robin and Hercules and Bellona and all these other gods who are very strong. Terra seeing a bit of a nerf, which I think is kind of weird. I thought she was probably actually in a fine place. But the decreasing the movement speed on her passive, on her ulti passive, if you will, from 30 to 20%, just a flat 10% change. Her ulti's still good, but now just, you know, you're not running at the speed of flipping light. So, those are the majority of the changes. Now, I mean, some of these changes are pretty big, you know. I mean, Shogun's Kusiri, that's huge. Some of these are pretty big, but now for the really, really big stuff. Right here. Here's a lot of explanation. Basically, what it says is, hey, we've heard what you're talking about, and we have a lot of Snowball this season. And everybody else is like, what? Snowball? What are you talking about? Obviously, Season 4 has been crazy, crazy snowball-y. If you watch the pro games, even at a pro level, games snowball out of control so fast. And most games are one-sided one way or the other. And games are being decided, I mean, as early as the, 2-minute marker because of how hard things can snowball. So, they're trying to fix it. I'm not sure if this is the way to go about it, but shout outs, little clap for Hi-Rez. They are attempting, which is good. You know, at least they're trying to do something. And so we'll talk about it. What they're doing is they're decreasing the amount of XP you need to get from level 1 to level 2. This means that if you split the first wave with somebody, right? So you've got, say, your dual lane over there, and you've got your mid jungler together in the mid lane. When you clear the first wave, you will get level 2. You will get level 2, which means that you should be able to both of these. You should be able to defend your buff better, because right now what's happening is you don't get level 2 from the wave. You go to steal a jungle camp, okay? Right? The person that clears first goes to the jungle camp. If you get that camp, you get level 2. congratulations. If you get that camp stolen from you, they hit level 2, they fight you. Basically, whoever gets that camp can snowball out of control and win the game at that literally first buff spot, which is kind of silly. So now you'll both be level 2. This means that some of the gods in the meta are going to change. Level 2 fights are going to be crazy important. Since both squads will be level 2 heading into those buffs, it means that buffs are going to get cleared a lot faster because now you've got both abilities clearing the buff. Clear will still be equally as important because the second you clear that wave and you get level 2, then you can fight them in lane if they're not level 2 yet. So it might just be transferring the fight from the buff camp to the lane. And it certainly puts an even bigger emphasis on lane clear. But it may really help gods like Isis, who can snowball off of that, get level 2, and then immediately Spirit Ball stun and look for a fight. So we'll see how it changes those gods. And in order to compensate, they increase the amount of experience that you need to get from 2 to 3 and from 3 to 4 since they reduced the level 1. Overall, it should be about the same XP at that point. The second thing that they're doing in the combat snowball is they're making the Gold Fury harder to kill and give less gold. The base health has been increased by 300. They decreased the bonus health per minute from 280 to 270, which basically just means as it gets closer to the mid-game, the Gold Fury's health will be relatively similar. They decreased the base gold worth of the Gold Fury from 190 to 150, so if you get the Gold Fury earlier, it's not as impactful. But they increased the base gold per minute, which means by the time you get to mid-game, it'll be roughly the same amount of gold again. Gold Furies definitely do snowball the game. They're not the only thing, but trying to simultaneously change the Gold Fury to be a little bit less snowbally and the levels to be a little bit less snowbally, I like both the changes. Will they work? I don't know. This is one of those things that stopping snowball is a really hard thing to do in terms of changes. And I believe this is the first time the high-res has ever changed the player experience levels. Like in the history of Smite, it's always been changing XP camps and minion waves and all that stuff, how much they give. They've never changed the actual number that the player needs. So I think this is a big indication that they understand that the snowballing is a problem and they really want to fix it before the next SPL starts, because pro games aren't that fun to watch when you know who's going to win 3 minutes in. And honestly, the SPL is getting great viewership, so you want even more people to watch and have fun watching. So I think they're good changes. We're definitely going to have to test it out. At some point, I'm going to try PTS to see how it goes. And to see what kind of gods are getting better. That change right here, the player experience levels in Gold Fury will not go live on 4.8. You can see right here, they're going to be tested on 4.8. They will go live on 4.9 if it ends up being okay. If, you know, all the pros don't go, this is the stupidest thing ever. High-res, you can't do this. As long as that doesn't happen, good chance some version of this goes into patch 4.9, which will be the next following patch.
It's the final countdown. Ba-da-ba-boo. Ba-da-ba-ba-boo. Ba-da-ba-boo. The final countdown.